Judy Glory here, your coach, mentor, and friend. Another opportunity to stop and think and learn about ICF core competencies. So far, how do you find the journey? Are you learning some new things? And what are you learning listening to your recording? I'm so curious to hear about that. Please post your comments below the video, share your journey in the community, and if you want to reach out, feel free to reach out. I hope that as you start to see some pattern in the way you coach, you start to see the things you do really well, and you start to see some things that if you tweak, if you change, could bring your coaching at a completely different level. Today we'll continue the series on ICF core competencies and talk about core competency 5, which is active listening. Is it 5 or 6? No, it's all mixed up. It's 6, core competency 6, 5 is presence, and we talked about presence already. So we are going now into another grouping, core competency 6, which is active listening. Now in the new is listen. As I told you, it's more verbal action. So the coach listens actively, really get updated, forget all things and get up to date. It's core competency 6. The coach listens actively, and this core competency is part of the grouping for communicating effectively, which is the third layer. We talked about the foundation, ethics, mindset. That foundation is well established. We start the coaching, we co-create the relationship, creating the agreement, ensuring we maintain trust and safety to allow really the coachee to open up and share. We stay present, flexible, curious, observant, so that we make space and silence to allow the client to really process, think, and come up with as much learning insights that will transform who he's being or whatever he's trying to create. So the next grouping is effective communication, which is part of the competencies that facilitate getting those results, the way we communicate with the client. And one of those effective communication competencies is listening actively. What does that mean, to listen, active listening? A lot of people have done training, it's part of some leadership training to work on active listening. And I remember in those days, that when they say active listening, the first thing that came to mind was, be able to reframe to the other party what they're saying. So if I get you right, you mean this. That was the thing that came to my mind in terms of active listening. But is that all there is to active listening? What does ICF say about listening actively? How does it sound in a conversation, in a coaching conversation? How do you know that this level of listening is ACC level, is PCC level, is MCC level? And what are some little tips that will keep you away from problems when you're working to get your credential? So you can see it's like the same agenda now for active listening. Hey, let's try. Even though so far the goal to keep it under 15 minutes has been hard, let's dive into the definition. According to ICF, active listening or listens actively is when the coach focuses on what the client is and is not saying. To fully understand what is being communicated in the context of the client system and to support the client's self-expression. You've noticed I've highlighted what the client is and is not. So there might be things that the client is not that they should say, and it's the responsibility of the coach to help the client express that. The coach listens actively also to understand fully. You've noticed that fully should have been highlighted also. The client systems, how they think, how they process, and to support the client self-expression. Client system, it's another big one because if you pay attention to your listening, you may notice that the client tends to talk using a lot of metaphors. That's their style. Might be good to respond to them also in that style, because responding with that style demonstrate you've understood the style of the client and you're aligned, you're connecting, you want to speak with them in their language. Same for a client. I see that, I see, so that the client is very visual. I hear that they tend to respond, yeah, I hear that, or the experience, I feel. So this is subtle ways of speaking, but if throughout the conversation the client is saying, I see, and you stay on, I think, you're staying on your system, not the client. And that's how they may see you're not listening. Or have you not noticed that this client talks in terms of I see, he sees things. And when you've identified that style, what are you doing with that? So active listening is also picking, those detailed things. So the coach does this by understanding the context of the client, by reflecting and summarizing, and this is really important, especially when you're working on setting the agreement. We talked about core competency 3. Ensuring you're getting your understanding and giving it back to the client allows them to confirm or to clarify if you didn't summarize well. The coach also demonstrates this by being curious about some things that the client is not saying. If they start some sentences and it's like they've not finished, they swallow the rest. Or if they're saying something, or they're just there and then they're just laughing, or making some things with your face. As you listen actively, even if they said nothing, it's like there's more. And what a gift you do to your client by not allowing this missed opportunity to just go like that. Hey, there was this thing that passed on your face. What was that? What was that laughter about? And you get them to talk about what they didn't say. You remember the definition, what the client is and is not saying. Another trademark of this is your ability to observe and to integrate the cues. Like the client says something, maybe they add some kind of fun or some kind of emotion. You pick that and you give it back to them, identifying some things, some pattern in the way they talk. Wow, for the last, I don't know, 7 minutes, the tone has increased. What's going on, honey? What is there something happening? What could be going on here? And to be able to pick and give it back to the client, you need to listen. You're here, you are looking. It's like, I like to say, great listening, active listening is like you bring up your antenna and you connect to the antennas of the client. You pick the words, the emotions, what is going on. It's not just what they say, but there's kind of energy shift. There's more, you're speaking more or less and bringing that up. You really connected with the client. And this cannot happen when you are thinking about your frameworks, previous experiences, or other things going on in your mind. That's why I think I said it in the last video on presence, that when you're really present, it's like there's a great chance that you're also going to pass the active listening, because when you're really present, all your attention, as I was saying, your antennas, they are connected to the clients. You pick, oh, there's something going on, there's some feeling, oh, there's something on, and you give it back to the client. You can notice that for the last 15 minutes, there's been more positive words. Is there a shift happening? and let them talk about it. You notice that there has been some expression on their face for you to really pick and give it back to the client so that they can make sense of it. You need to zip and listen. Yeah. And not just listen to the words, listen to the emotion, listen to the feeling, listen to the energy, listen to everything. Yeah, the following slides actually go in detail, like the understanding the context, environment, experience, all of that. I don't want to repeat, else we'll not have the opportunity to check how it sounds at all the levels. Yeah, and this one is key. That's really why I highlighted them in blue. um, a great way to pick that you're actually actively listening. Listen to your recording. What emotion is going on here? Do you see, have you noticed the energy shifts? There's some non, even the behavior, they talk and then some expression, some things they do with their hands, some posture. Well, well, like I just noticed something with your posture. What happened? Well, is that I'm actually noticing that, okay, you got them to realize something and to talk about it, and what do they want to do with that realization? And yeah, integrating also communication clues. I was saying, being able to pick the tone, the body language, and some keywords. If the clients keep talking about something, you can give it back to them using that voice in that tone, or just doing mimicking their body language and asking them. So, what you pick from the communication channel, giving it back to them, or speaking the same language. If they start to talk about something and make a metaphor, do you just continue with your standard question, or you dive with them? They offered a metaphor. Do you remember presence? Responsive? Respond to the metaphor. Follow them. Follow them. um hey, the tone is more like energetic or low or fast or accelerated. Match your tone to theirs. That also shows active listening. You've picked the tone and you're matching the tone. You're speaking the language. And in general, even if you watch that in a movie, and that's why they even talk about the coaching dance. It's like the cadence is so good. It's like there's some kind of fusion between the coach and the coachee. You're matching, and there's understanding, this flow, like you're together. And what can emerge when there's this kind of fusion is just great insight, good things, great learning. Yeah, the coach notices recurrent behaviors and emotion and gives it back. This one I'll talk a bit about it. You listen, you pick everything, not just the words. I hear, I sense emotions, some anger going on. If you notice something, don't allow it to pass. There are insights in that thing you notice. Sometimes even intuition. As the client is talking, something is coming up. Ask the permission. I don't know why, but there's this. You may be surprised because it has happened to me many times where the client will say, wow, thank you for picking. Yeah, I was trying to hide it from you, but there's actually, I'm frustrated, blah, 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 and they'll just allow it to blow. Wow, and what is fueling that anger? I don't just understand. They were talking about something else, why it was difficult for ABC, but the underlying thing was the frustration. And because you did not just stay on that superficial topic they were talking about, because you pick, I don't know, there's something about frustration. How is it landing? Oh, yeah. Mm. Yeah, actually, it's been going on. Now you're going down toward the deeper thing going on, and you can coach them and help them. Imagine if for months they have not been making progress on their mandate or their assignment, trying to stay, not wanting to acknowledge or handle the frustration with the new direction of the leadership. Imagine the transformation that will happen when they do acknowledge this is going on, and as you hold a space for them, they choose what they want to do with that, the change it will bring to their team, to their leadership, or to how they move forward. And this is a gift that you and I as coach can give to people we work with. That's why notice, play back, and invite everything. If you say something, don't just shut down. And that's also why we were saying, I think it was still in presence or in terms of trust and safety. Yeah, the coach is not trying to be the good coach. If there's something going on, give it back. You're not judging, you're not saying this is definitely what is going on, but just give it to the client. Let them acknowledge or refute, and then choose what they want to do with that. Everything, everything. Don't just bring up the nice things. Yeah, so I wonder how demonstrating your ability to listen actively. I think I'll take a little break and then we will look at what it sounds. ACC, PCC, MCC. Let's see you after this short break. I need to drink water. Yeah, talk to you in a bit. Yes, so we are talking core competency 5, which is part of communicating effectively group. The coach listens actively. So, how does it show? How do you recognize from a conversation that this is active listening? ACC, PCC, or MCC levels. So at ACC level, the coach listens at the surface, like, okay, what's going on? And they're listening for elements, seeking information in general that will help them resolve. You know, at ACC, we want to help. I'm the expert. I need to find a solution for this client for them to be happy with me. At PCC level, the coach listens, there's some depth, but it's still within the frame, like what the coach knows, within what there's some kind of leading from the coaching. He has some control, some level of control. Um, but at MCC level, well, the coach is deeply connected. I love the word that ICF has used, attuned. It's like that antenna thing. It's like you bring up your words, visuals, emotions, body language, and you just connect. You just send them to connect with the antennas of the client, and you listen at all this channel. What words are you hearing? What emotion? What are you sensing? Intuition. And not remember, notice, observe, and curious. The player, the actor, is the client. You're picking and giving it back. Noticing this at the channel of emotion. Noticing this in terms of energy. Might something be going on? What could that be? What do you want to do with that? Any insight? Where else could it apply? And then you amplify. You don't do your questions, do the work. The client to the processing. Oh, learning. Yeah, where else? How do you want to take it from here? But you're connected. I'm also sensing this has changed. You are connected. Just bring up your antenna, observe, listen, and give it back to the client so that they can make meaning of it. Some questions. ACC level listening. So the issue is, I hear that you're struggling with the problem. Let's find a solution to this. At PCC level, Sounds like this. Is that correct? Yeah, they ask and they reframe. I'm hearing you say that blah 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 is still the problem. MCC. I sense there's something more beneath your words. What's coming up for you? I'm noticing a shift in the energy in your voice. What could that be? What's that telling you? I'm hearing excitement and hesitation. How do they fit together? Have you noticed how the MCC questions are more about the person than the solution to the problem? Something beneath the word, what's coming up for you? Shift. Could that be telling you something? Excitement and hesitation. It's the person. It's the person. So, Judith has blown her time again. And if you continue, there are even more questions showing evidence, some showing contra evidence, and then some behavior that will get you not to pass the competency. I will stop here for today. I will stop here on core competency 6, listening actively. Some keywords to help you remember: listens actively. It's all about connecting and being an expert at observing and noticing what is going on with the client, then giving it back everything. You sense something, you notice, you hear, you feel something, offer it back to client and ask them to make sense of it. Um, and presence is a great way to do that because you're focused and connected on the client, on everything going on with him. You're not thinking about your framework, your process, your solution, or your desire to be seen as a great expert coming up with solution. As you focus on being present, notice and give back. Notice and give back. Any curious thing, you don't hesitate to ask. Try it and see by yourself. Now I'm curious, how much of this are you already doing? And yeah, as I keep saying, please stop and listen to your recording. What are you seeing? I've already told you. Share with you my feedback. What is all this talk? You cannot be doing all that talk while listening. No, you're polluting the canal. So I learned after I received that feedback when I applied for my first MCC first time. It was painful, but and I asked questions to a lot of other MCCs for people in the journey like me. What could they mean by saying I'm talking too much? And then I learned the power of silence. I learned from Claire Pedrick like the additional 30 minutes, even if your question is just pause. And I noticed that sometimes the silence was not that they were finished, they were thinking again. I try this challenge that she gives you to allow them make the decision that you'll not break the silence. Whoa, this one was big because you allow the client to talk, and they keep coming. It might be challenging, especially if you have a very talkative client, because if you have a 30-minute call or 45 minutes and they talk for like 15 minutes without giving you, oh my God, at what point do I the agenda? 15 minutes and we are not yet clear on the agenda. I'm wasting the time. 15 minutes, the ACC coaching me, oh no, like we are not clear on what we're doing. It needs to get some value. You try to interrupt. So there are some strategies to sort of manage this type of very talkative client. But as a general note, allow your client to finish the thinking, the processing, and sometimes there are some hints that will help you know that they talk, silence, and you allow the silence, and then they'll say something to let you know I'm done. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I wonder, sometimes they will ask you a question. So what would you recommend? It's a temptation to take back the mic and be the one sharing, doing the processing and finding solution. But when they say, "Oh, what do you think about that?" Ah, yeah, thanks. Now I'm worrying, is that useful? You can give it back to them. There are some tips, there are some ways to stay in the coaching posture where you create the space for them to find a solution. I hope it was useful. So, your question, feedback, comments are welcome. Looking forward to discuss the other competency in the effective communication grouping, which is evoke awareness. I love it. Looking forward to talking about that with you. Until next time, take care.